Hey guys, and welcome to TTB, The True Brits, here with Ricky and Diddy. And for this video we thought you'd give an opinion on the Duke Nukem Forever Demo that has just been released on the PSN store, along with the Homefront multiplayer demo. Now we're going to start with Duke Nukem and basically start off taking a leak, but we're going to start with the graphics, and Diddy's going to give you his thoughts on, we know it's a demo, it's not going to be 100% final product, but Diddy, overall the graphics?
Well, the scene that you do start out with, I mean, you can see that they've put a lot of effort in that. I mean, but once you do get into the open areas, the textures start to show. The texture quality gets less and less as it goes on, and you can really see how graphically inferior this game is.
Yeah, we haven't played it on the PC, obviously, and it's probably going to look better on there. But from the PS3, I mean, the graphics aren't phenomenal, and they're not great. They're better than some games out there, but you wouldn't say it's really a high-class next-gen game. Graphically, hopefully, the main game is going to look a little bit better, but you can't really say that from the demo that the game is going to be, a fantastic-looking game. The texture, there was some points when you certainly after loading, and there was a lot of loading, wasn't there? Every time you died, the loading was like 2 minutes long. Yeah, it's stupid. But there definitely was texture popping and whatnot. For a game that was like 1.6 gig, you would expect them to look better. So graphically, it's a little bit disappointing. Moving on to the sound, obviously we get to, we had the headset on, we get to hear the sound. Sound's actually pretty good. I mean, the weapons sound different. There's a variety there. Duke Nukem himself has I love his voice, badass. But did you like the sound?
Well, yeah, I mean, Duke Nukem, his voice is the whole theme of the game pretty much. I mean, they've done a great job with his voice, and the guns sound great, so I mean, sound department, it's all there.
Yeah, absolutely. There wasn't really any soundtracks going on, but overall, yeah, sound-wise, you can't complain. Most games these days have good sound anyway. We'll move on now to the gameplay, obviously the important part of the game. This is an FPS, so it's first-person shooter. It's got to be instinctive. Now, the controls. I had no problem with the controls. I actually thought the controls were solid.
Controls-wise, right? Well, I guess you can change the controls. I didn't look at all the control scheme, so I mean, controls-wise, I'm sure it's fine. Yeah.
And certainly the vehicle. I mean, it's something different. They've added a vehicle scene like it kind of looks like MotorStorm, obviously, even though the graphics aren't up there. But it was pretty easy to maneuver around. It was instinctive. You could zoom in pretty quick. The weapons were pretty reactive as well. But overall, gameplay was as you expect. Duke Nukem is Duke Nukem. But has it really evolved? I mean, 12 years of development. Is this what you would expect?
Well, I mean, after so many developers, I mean, I'm sure it was hard for Gearbox to come in here and try and make a game that people are going to like. I mean, there's obviously going to be its faults. But I think overall, just the game is just not what I would expect from 12 years of development. I mean, it's just not up to my expectations, really.
Yeah, I would have to agree. I mean, 12 years, you would expect more. Some of the animations, like at the beginning when you see them running through the corridor, they look like they were made 10 years ago and they haven't really tweaked them anymore. It's nice when he goes into the first person perspective and you can see him doing stuff. That's nice. It's been done before, but it looks good. Would you be able to tell from this is a Duke Nukem game if you saw it?
Well, I mean, you could tell just from what the weapons are, but I mean, it's a very, very linear game. I mean, pretty much what they've done is they've taken the modern day shooters and they've just made a generic Duke Nukem game, which, I mean, someone couldn't tell unless there was the guns and the creatures. So, I mean, it's hard to tell, really.
Yeah, and one thing I also got a little bit, the first time I played this demo, certain points I didn't know where to go. They didn't really, like here, when stuff's falling down. I wasn't too sure. Am I going to go up? Am I going to go down? I mean, then there's this part where you go through the planks of wood. I didn't know you'd have to go back and help you out. So, it is a very linear game, but it would have been nice to give you some sort of a direction as to what to do. So, gameplay-wise, it's Duke Nukem, isn't it? But 12 years in development, you'd have to say it's a little bit disappointing. We've come up a final score from the demo. Diddy, what would you say?
I'm going to have to go with a 6.5 6.5 as my max. I mean, that's being really generous, to be honest. I mean, it's just not what I expected as a game, and I'm disappointed at how linear and just generic it is.
Yeah, I'd agree. 6.5. Obviously, it's a demo. Don't bash us for saying, yeah, it is a demo, but demos are meant to be out there to make you buy the game. And for me, this isn't going to make me buy the game. There isn't an online, is there?
No,
No, so there's no online. So, it's 12 years. They could have done more. I mean, even there, some of the animations, like I said, they're old, they're outdated. And if they had tweaked it a little bit, I'm sure it could have been good. But overall, we give Duke Nukem a 6.5. Alright, now we're going to move on to the Homefront multiplayer demo, which we thought was a little bit better than Duke Nukem. We got a few rounds in there. Diddy, your first thoughts?
Well, I was actually really surprised by the Homefront demo. I wasn't expecting much after seeing some gameplay of the single player, but after actually playing it for quite a bit, it actually is quite a fun and a different experience. So, I mean, I was surprised to see how good it really was.
Yeah, that's one thing people said. If this game really is multiplayer, it's not. Single player's going to be pretty poor. But we're going to start off graphics. Now, this is where the game doesn't really shine. The graphics kind of remind me of, I don't know, just some old school game. It's not Modern Warfare, is it? It's not Battlefield. They're very much... The textures aren't good. The guns look nice. And, the maps are big and whatnot. But graphically, this game is not up there with the best of them.
Yeah, you can clearly see that the graphics are outdated. I mean, they're just not up to par with what modern day shooters should look like. I mean, the textures are quite poor when you go up close to them. I mean, the environments do look alright, but it's alright. I mean, nothing special there.
Yeah, so nothing too phenomenal. I mean, if I saw it, I would think kind of reminds me of Modern Warfare. Having here with the I'm not sure what the scope is, but it's whatever it is. But, yeah, that's the one. Holographic scope. Yeah, that's what it reminds me of. Was it easy to play? I mean, well, anyway, we'd say graphics. So, what would you give it graphically?
I'm gonna go with a 6 for graphics overall, really.
A 6? Well, I'd probably say a 7-ish. We'll give it a 7-ish. It's not too bad, graphics-wise. Moving on to sound. Obviously, a first-person shooter, you need the sound to be crisp. It would be, you need to hear the footsteps and all the gunfire and everything. Was the sound good?
Yeah, the sound's pretty good. They got the tanks down well, the sounds of the cannons and all that. The guns sound decent overall. I mean, it's just like a standard shooter. I mean, it's got all the sounds in there. Not bad.
Yeah, so, sound-wise, it's the same as most games. It's not up there with Bad Company, obviously. That's just crazy. But this is Diddy playing, by the way. Some of him.
Pro.
Yeah, the pro, giving it a bang. But yeah, sound-wise, we give it, up there with most of them, 8, 9, around there. Now moving on to gameplay. Obviously, a shooting game has to be responsive. I think the controls are pretty responsive myself. You could zoom in pretty quick. And but killing people seemed pretty easy as well. You could literally 3 or 4 bursts, and it was dead. As you can see here, he's just mowing people down. And was it, hipfire, was that accurate and whatnot?
Yeah, I would like to see a bit more recoil. I mean, you can just hold down the button and there's not really any recoil coming back at you. But I mean, the controls were responsive.
Well, how many guns did you use for that?
I used the sniper rifle, the LMG, and the SMG, and the assault rifle.
There was no difference with...
Well, I mean, there is a bit more recoil on the light machine gun, but not really that much that I can tell. So.
Right, yeah, and obviously there's vehicles in the game as well, which is nice. Opens up a whole bunch of varieties. So you've got drones, tanks. Were they easy to maneuver around? Because I know you use the right analog. On the left there's no R2 button, so it's easy.
Yeah, I did like the way that they did the tank controls, and it felt very responsive, the way you could move around with them. So.
Alright, so gameplay, yeah, I enjoyed it. I thought it was pretty fun. It's obviously when you first start playing a shooter, it's hard to adapt to. And the maps are pretty good, big. You've got a 24-player game mode, which was TDM, and then you've got the 32, which is kind of like domination. But gameplay-wise, yeah, very solid game. Enjoyable. Was it enjoyable?
Yeah, definitely. It was a nice change from the modern day shooters, But it was a nice change how they innovated the point system and having vehicles come in when you want it when you died. So I liked it overall, yeah.
Yeah, and we didn't talk about the customizations, also pretty deep. You can see some clips on this video before where you can change your weapons, you can add perks, you can add attachments. I mean, it's everyday stuff now in most shooters. But yeah, gameplay-wise, this game's great. Diddy, your score?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to give it a 8.5 overall.
8.5. So yeah, overall, me and Diddy recommend this game as an 8.5. We're not too sure, obviously, about the single-player campaign. It didn't get the greatest. Yeah, it's pretty linear and whatnot, and there's not too many, crazy moments. But multiplayer certainly looks fun. It's a big open-world map, 32 players as well. So certainly check that out. These two demos are on the PSN, so go and hit them up. This demo is about, I think, 1 gig, 1.7 gig, I think, somewhere around there. So it won't take too long to download. So that's our thoughts, Duke Nukem Forever and Homefront for this week. We've also got an Uncharted 3 beta, some gameplay and our thoughts on that. Is it looking good?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we played some of the co-op mode yesterday, and it is a fun game. I mean, they've got all the stuff that you'd want in there. They've changed the crosshairs, and I'm loving it so far.
Yeah, it's going to be good. So stay tuned for that because we're going to have our thoughts. I'm also probably going to have some Motorstorm Apocalypse multiplayer demo is also up. And also the weekly podcast for this week will be coming up, in a couple of days. So that's it from us, Ricky and Diddy. I hope you enjoyed it. Certainly check these games out and give us your thoughts. Make sure you subscribe and see you guys next week.
See ya.